Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's session from Bhagavad Gita as it is. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mukam karoti vachalam, pangum langhayate girim, yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenatarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram, Hari Om Tat Sat. Vanchakalpatarubhascha kripapasindubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo. So we started chapter 9 yesterday, the most confidential knowledge. Chapters 7 to 12 are all about Krishna. Krishna is telling us all about himself. And we have covered the first 3 verses in this chapter so far. We'll begin from the verse 4 today. Maya tad midam sarva jagad vyakta murtina matasthani sarvabhutani na chaham deshav vasthita. Translation: by me, in my unmanifested form, this entire universe is pervaded. All beings are in me, but I am not in them. Verse 5. Nacha matasthani bhutani pashya me yogameshwaram bhuta bhrinna cha bhutastho mamatma bhuta bhavanaha. And yet everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. Although I am the maintainer of all living entities, and although I am everywhere, I am not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. Verse 6. Yatha kaksha sthito nityam vayu sarvatrago mahan tatha sarvani bhutani matasthani tyupadharaya. Understand that as the mighty wind blowing everywhere rests, all things rest in me. Verse 7. Sarva bhutani kaunteya prakriti yanti mamikam kalpakshaya punastani kalpadau visri jamayaham. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all material manifestations enter into my nature, and at the beginning of another millennium, by my potency, I create them again. Verse 9. Prakritim swam vashtabhya visrijami punah punah bhutagrama mimam kritsan mavasham prakriter varshat. The whole cosmic order is under me, under my will. It is automatically manifested again and again, and under my will it is annihilated at the end. Verse 9. Nacha mam tani karmani nibadhanti dhananjaya udasina vadasina masaktam teshu karmasu. O Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. I am ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral. Verse 10. Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam hetu nanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. Translation: this material nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving beings. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So we'll cover verses 4 to verse 10 today. So Krishna was telling Arjuna yesterday in the first 3 verses that devotional service and the pure devotional service is the highest of all, and it is developed by understanding Krishna, knowledge about Krishna from the scriptures, and that too with the association of the realized devotees in the disciplic succession, starting from Krishna himself. So first of all, Krishna is telling us that we have to be aware always. This is being told through Arjun. Obviously, all the instructions were imparted to him, but actually they are all for all of us. That we have to be aware that Krishna is everywhere. He is not just in the Arch Vigraha, in the temple, or within the vicinity of the temple itself. He is everywhere. When Krishna says, all the beings are in me, this is what he means to say. And he is not under anyone's control. That's why he says clearly in the verse that, but I am not in them. So when he says that he's everywhere, Prabhupada has been telling us since the second chapter that Krishna as Super Soul is as a Kshirodakshay Vishnu part. He's in all of us, in our hearts. He's in all the species, all the 8.4 million species, small or big, humongous or tiny. Every entity has got the company of Krishna, the companionship of Krishna as the form of Super Soul by their hearts. Like the Puranas tell us that it is like two birds sitting on a branch. Our soul, the tiny part from the Krishna's being, which is our soul, is not sitting by itself. Krishna is a very loyal companion, is a very caring companion to all of us. Others might leave us sooner or later in lives, but Krishna, who is our origin, he stays with us throughout our journeys. And like Krishna tells us that our souls are eternal. So eternally we are in the company of Krishna. And we are under his control. So this is the way we are under his control. In Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, in the purport, Prabhupada is quoting, that's Ataha Shri Krishna Namadi Nabhaved Grahayam Indriyaha Sevon Mukhe Hi Jivadav Swayam Eva Sfurti Adaha. That Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, everything, they can't be understood by our material senses, by our Jnanendriyas. We cannot understand Krishna, by our senses, the senses which perceive everything around us and within us. We can't perceive by these senses Krishna's qualities, Krishna's pastimes, and Krishna's opulences. We have to engage in the pure devotional service under the guidance of a proper, genuine, super spiritual master, coming in the lineage directly from Krishna. Then only this will be possible. So what we have to do, we have to, in other simple words, we have to spiritualize our senses. And how do we spiritualize our senses? Okay, our body is actually dead matter. It becomes alive because there is super soul in it, which is Krishna. It is empowering our self and making it conscious. So we have to make that conscious of ours Krishna conscious. Simple as that. Now that is going to be called spiritualizing our senses. And how we will be spiritualizing our senses? Spiritualizing is not going to be happening by engaging ourselves in our, our free time, in the pursuit of mundane things. That is not going to spiritualize us. We have to consciously devote some time in remembering Krishna, in hearing about Krishna, in repeating his names, in saying the Mahamantra, and trying to make most of the association of the devotees, the ones who have realized themselves in this pursuit of Krishna consciousness. So this way our senses will get spiritualized, and once they get spiritualized, then we will be able to understand Krishna. And once we are able to understand Krishna, we will definitely be engaging ourselves at least certain hours in the day in devotional service towards Krishna. Like we get devoted to our favorite hobby, we get devoted to our favorite pursuits and our money-making schemes in life, and how we want to spend our money and how we want to book for nice holidays. In the same way, we will be devoting those certain numbers of hours in a 24-hour cycle of a day towards Krishna also. When we understand Krishna, when we get our senses spiritualized. But we shouldn't get disheartened. It is a slow process. It will take time. It is going to eventually lead us. So wherever we left our bhakti in our previous life, from there on, our bhakti starts in the present life. Like Prabhupada and the senior disciples in their lectures, they always say, I was hearing Kadam Kanand Maharaj yesterday, and he was saying that all of us began our Krishna conscious journey, knowingly or unknowingly, by taking some prasad from somewhere. This is very true. We might have not known that we must have taken some prasad, just like Narad, like he had the prasad while serving with his mother, who was a maid servant when he was serving the group of the devotees during the Chaturmas. So this is how our spiritual life also begins. Maybe it began in some previous life somewhere which we are not aware of, but the probability is most that this is how it began. And Krishna says that I'm everywhere, I'm in all the living and the non-living, because everything is actually the energy of Krishna. Either it is superior energy or the inferior energy, which is material energy. So Krishna is pervading everywhere, and Krishna is telling us that about himself in verse 4. In verse 5, Krishna is telling us that everything that is created does not rest in me. Behold my mystic opulence. I am the maintainer of all the living entities, and although I'm everywhere, I'm not a part of this cosmic manifestation, for myself is the very source of creation. So Bhagavan is saying that Matsthani Sarva Bhutani, everything is resting on him. Now Lord is saying that he is not directly concerned with the maintenance and the sustenance of everything, because he has got a lot of administrators, and those administrators are assigned to carry out his instructions. So Krishna is upholding. We should not think that, like Prabhupada is saying in the purport, that Krishna is upholding this created universe. He's saying that everything is resting on him, but he is aloof from him, or he is detached from it. So there are different planetary systems, there's the space, there's stars, there's mountains created in our universe, there's oceans, there's big falls, forests, everything. He has created everything. Everything is resting on him. Because just imagine that the planets, they're freely floating in the air. Somebody is giving them some kind of gravity, that they are just floating. They're not just floating there of their own accord. They would have fallen down. Everything is resting in Krishna, but Krishna is not attached to anything. So Krishna is situated in a different situation. Krishna says, So these are all his inconceivable energies, Krishna is telling us. Everything is created, then everything gets annihilated. Everything is created from within from Krishna, and everything, when is finished, is annihilated. When it finishes the course of their being, it goes back within Krishna. So a common man, Prabhupada says, cannot understand this concept. So you have to understand it through the help of scriptures, because Krishna has explained everything in the scriptures, and it is a proper science. So-called science we study in this world is not a man has created. The science is also created by Krishna. So Krishna also tells everything to us in a very scientific manner, so that we can understand everything nicely, logically as well. In verse 6, Krishna continues about the maintenance, and he says that we have to understand that as the mighty wind is blowing everywhere, rests always in the sky, all created beings rest in me. So Krishna has given unlimited freedom to everyone in a limited framework. Now, it sounds a very big statement. Just imagine a chariot with horses. The horses are not completely free. They are tied to the chariot, and the driver or the charioteer is maneuvering them. So this is how all the energies of Krishna are. They are all in a way connected to Krishna, and they are not free in their manifestation, or they have got all the energies have got a controller. So who is the controller? Krishna is the controller. So in the Upanishads, Prabhupada is quoting here that it is stated, Yad Bisha Vataha Pavate. It is out of the fear of the Supreme Lord that the wind is blowing. This is from the Taittiriya Upanishad 2.8.1, and in the Brihad Aranyaka Upanishad 3.8.9 it stated, Etasya va aksharasya prashane gargi surya chandramasau vidhartau tishtata etasya ya aksharasya prashasane gargi dev aprithivayo vidhratau tishtita. By the supreme order, under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the moon, the sun, and the other great planets are moving. And in the Brahma Samhita 5.52, it is also stated, Yat chakshur esha sabita sakala grahanam raja samasta sura murtir ashesha tejaha yasya janya Brahmati Sambhrita Kala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Now this is the description of the sun. It is said that sun is considered to be one of the eyes of the Supreme Lord. And this is very remarkable to note here that sun is only one of the eyes of the Supreme Lord. And it has the immense potency to diffuse heat and light, as we know. So at the moment in the northern hemisphere of the world, we are going through winter, and actually most of the world will be in the winter, apart from I think the one by the equator like this, they will be in a different season. So all of us, we are experiencing in the absence of the sun. How does it feel? So actually at the moment, sun is little bit away from us, or we are away in our situation from the sun. The course of the earth at the moment is so the heat and the light, they are potency of God himself, and everything is moving in the prescribed order and the orbit. By whose will? By the will of Govinda. Govinda word here is given to Krishna again, because he is very much worshipped by the gopas, and he takes care of the cows, the Gomata. So one of the names given to Krishna is Govinda as well. So the Vedic literature tells us that all this manifestation is coming from Krishna, and it is supreme, it is majestic, and it is under the complete control of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govindam Adipurusham Tamaham Bhajami. Brahma says that in the Brahma Samhita. He is the one who is the controller of all this. Magnanimous, I don't know what word will be, what adjective would be the best adjective for Krishna's energies. So all the energies are under the control of the Creator, Bhagwan Krishna himself. In verse 7, Bhagwan is talking about the destruction now. So Bhagwan talked about the creation, then he talked about the maintenance, and now he's telling about the destruction. Bhagwan is telling Arjun that this material nature is only temporary. So we have to transcend it. In verse 5, Krishna says, Bhuta Bhavana. He is the source of all manifestations. Then he talked about maintenance, and now in the verse 7 he says that this material creation, at the end of the millennium, everything which is material gets annihilated. And where does it go? Because remember, the gross bodies, the gross forms are left wherever they are, in whichever planet they are, but the soul, the subtle body, where does it go? It goes back into Krishna after the annihilation of the material energy, or sorry, the manifestation itself. And when a new millennium will take place, will enter into being, then Krishna will create by his potency everything again. And we were talking about Brahma's lifespan earlier on in previous chapter, which is a mighty big compared to our earth years when you think about them, but it is just like a blink in the timeline of Bhagwan and Brahmaji, because time itself is Krishna, Krishna is Kal itself. So Brahma's, it is nearly 4.3 billion of our earthly years, his one day. And his night is of the same duration, Brahmaji's. So his month consists of 30 such days and nights, and his year of 12 months. So after 100 such years, Prabhupada is telling us, when Brahma dies, the devastation or annihilation takes place. This means that the energy manifested by the Supreme Lord is again wound up in himself. When there is need for another cosmic creation. Bahu Syam, although I am one, I shall become many. This is the Vedic aphorism from the Chanda Yoga Upanishad 6.2.3. Bhagwan expands himself in this material energy, and the whole cosmic manifestation again takes place. So all the laws we have heard from Newton, that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, can be explained very nicely with this purport from chapter 9.7. And in text 8, Krishna is continuing about the theme of destruction. He says that the whole cosmic order is under me, under my will it will be automatically manifested again and again, and under my will it is annihilated at the end. So at the creation, the material energy is let loose as the Mahat Tattva, into which the Lord, as his first Purusha incarnation. So during the creation, when the creation begins, who is the first Adi Purush which comes? It is Bhagwan himself, he comes as the Mahatattva. He loses his Mahatattva, into which the Lord, as his first Purish incarnation, Mahavishnu, enters. Now Mahavishnu, he lies in the causal ocean and breathes out innumerable universes. You can see those posters on the internet. If you just want to check, just put the word Mahavishnu and put ISKCON word, so you can see the pictures how Bhagwan is lying there in the causal ocean. He's breathing out the innumerable universes, and into each universe Lord again enters as Garbho Dakshai Vishnu. So first it is Mahavishnu, then it is Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, then he will create different universes, and into each universe he will enter as Garbho Dakshai Vishnu, and each universe in that way is created. And he still further manifests himself as Kshiro Dakshai Vishnu. So okay, when first Bhagwan comes out from the Mahat Tattva as Mahavishnu, then he enters into the different universes. He is breathed out, and into each universe he is going to enter as Garbhodakshai Vishnu, and further he is going to manifest himself as Kshirodakshai Vishnu, that he is going to enter into each and every minute atom, and actually Bhagwan enters into everything. So these are the three different ways Bhagwan expands himself when he begins the creation. And Prabhupada is explaining again very nicely, and he has explained this to us over and over in the previous purports as well, that after this Bhagwan's role hasn't finished. Now Bhagwan is going to create different species, and how those species will be created? They will be created by, they are actually impregnated into the material nature according to their past deeds. So according to the past deeds, people will take birth. Some will become animals, some will become coming in lower species, some will becoming as aquatics in the ocean or in the rivers, some as birds, some as beasts, some as becoming as the crops, forests, trees, mountains. So everything is going to come according to their deeds. According to their deeds, they will be manifesting themselves. So the different life species are created alongside with the universe. As the universe is created, the universe is populated as well, and the population comes according to their past desires. So we can see it's such a what should we say? It's a very scientific process. Sorry, my screen has vanished and it has timed out. So everything comes according to the desires of the species, and it doesn't just, I think Krishna wanted to give us another picture. So here we are. We can see this is also Krishna. All the nature is Krishna. So there we go. Our theme continues. So according to our past desires, our past, whatever we have been up to in our past lives, and whatever we have been desiring, because Bhagwan has given us this free will in our karma. So whatever we had sowed in our past lives, we are reaping that in the present life. And we should remember that from now on, that whatever we'll be sowing in this life, we shall be reaping that in the future lives. So let's move on to verse 9. Krishna is addressing Arjuna as Dhananjay now. He's saying, "O Dhananjay, all this work cannot bind me. I'm ever detached from all these material activities, seated as though neutral." So just remind ourselves, Dhananjay is, O conqueror of riches. So Krishna is like a judge. Krishna is telling us he is absolutely neutral. He's not biased in his judgment, like a person who is appointed as a judge in the court, or in the Supreme Court, or in the High Court. He or she cannot be biased. They have to give very unbiased judgment after hearing the both sides, after hearing the defendants and the prosecution side both, and the jury. So in the same way, Krishna, he is. Krishna says, because he is, after all, the creator, he's the maintainer, and he's the one in which everything is going to rest. So he is not biased towards his creation. So Krishna is giving us so many lessons in each verse. It's up to us what we want to take away from it on a particular day or on a particular time, according to our thinking or whatever we are going through in our lives, and what we are want to understand, what lessons we want to partake. So we should not think that Bhagwan has got no engagement. Prabhupada is reminding us. So thanks to Prabhupada. If it wasn't for his purpose, I don't think we would be been able to decode the message given in these shlokas of the Bhagavad Gita. So Prabhupada is telling us that in the Brahma Samhita 5.6 it is stated, Atma Ramasya Tasyasti Prakritya Na Samagamaha. He is always involved in his eternal, blissful, spiritual activities. So the one who has created such a huge thing, and it is not just for one time, it is created and then it disappears, and then it is created again, and it is maintained faultlessly. It goes like clockwork. These supercomputers, they never fail. They just run. The servers, they never get tired of. Their memories, they never fail. So what is he up to? In Brahma Samhita, he says, it is stated, Brahmaji says that he's always involved in his eternal means timeless, which are always going on, and in blissful and spiritual activities, and he has got nothing to do with the material activities. The material activities are carried out by different potencies of Bhagwan himself. So who is carrying out the material activities? It is Bhagwan himself. Neutral. So that is the neutrality mentioned in the verse here. Although he controls every minute details of the material activities, but he's sitting neutral, and he has nothing to do with the gain and loss. So by his order, so many things are happening. For example, in a jail, somebody is being hanged, somebody is being put in a life sentence, somebody's given a punishment to pay some fines. But he has got nothing to do with it. He's always neutral, though his hand is there in every sphere of activity. So Bhagwan is involved in everything, but still Bhagwan is neutral. He's away from everything. He's not attached to anything. He is Vaisamya Nairgrihanyana. He is not situated in the dualities of this material world. He is transcendental, or he is above to these dualities. He is not attached to the creation and annihilation of the material world. The living entities take their different forms in the various species according to their past deeds. And finally, in the verse 10, he says, for the devotees, he is hands-on. He is always available to whom? Krishna says, I'm always available to my devotees. So it's such an important verse. Verse 9.10, chapter 9, verse 10. It says, this material world, which is nature, which is one of my energies, is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, producing all moving and non-moving things. Under its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. So he's the father, Bhagwan is saying, of all the species. He is giving the seeds to the material nature, which is the mother of all the living entities. And just a mere glance, just by looking, he puts all the species into the universe. And then the species come out in the different form. So as Garbhadakshay Vishnu, he is just putting everything by mere glance into different species, and he is still not attached to any of them. So there's an example given in the Smriti that when there is a fragrant flower before someone, the fragrance is touched by the smelling power of the person, yet the smell and the flower are detached from another. So we are smelling a flower through our smelling power, through our olfactory nerves, but through our nose, but the flower and the fragrance is still detached from it, is still inside the flower as well. So this is how Bhagwan is. So we will continue from verse 11 next time in this chapter 9, the most confidential knowledge. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.